This season preview is brought to you by Manscaped's brand new Ultra Premium 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. This luxurious lather cleanses and nourishes in just one step. Using coconut water, green tea, and aloe, this non-greasy daily formula is naturally hydrating and rich in antioxidants to revitalize the look and feel of your hair. So head on over to manscaped.com and use the promo code SACCITY for 20% off and free worldwide shipping. The new Ultra Premium 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner from Manscaped. Take care of hair everywhere.
Let us break down the Tennessee Titans and their regular season and all the things that could happen with the Titans. This last season, I remember last season, and I'm going to start here. We're changing things up today, gentlemen. Last year, going into the season, when we were previewing the Titans, we were talking about how bad this defense was. We were talking about...
To be fair, no. AJ was not. I was talking. AJ defended the Titans defense.
Our concern for the Titans was their defense, and it ended up being one of their strongest parts of their team last year. They played well. Everything looked good. It shocked the world. What is the most underrated part of that defense this year, AJ?
So the interesting part was we were specific on one area of their defense last year, and that was their secondary. And I will come back again and say I think that's going to be the part that is going to be underrated because now we just need to see it. If you watch this on Monday, we talked about the Packers and how they're going to be one of the best defenses in the league if they can stop the run. Well, this team was great at that. They allowed only 83.5 yards per game. But when you look at the passing side of their defense, you're talking over 4,000 yards on the season, according to NFL.com. This year, I think they're going to be right up there with some of the best and back-to-back on a pretty close to elite defense. You got that man right there, Kevin Byard, who was the most consistent defender for them last season. He brings that back to them this season, the leadership, the mentality that he has. You look at a guy like Christian Fulton, who got better and better as the year went on. Elijah Molden got to play some games last season, was always in the right spot. Wasn't like opportunistic, but he wasn't really causing a bunch of issues either. Now you look at it, and you got Caleb Farley, a guy who we were very excited about last season, who got injured coming on, and they went ahead and drafted some depth in Auburn's Roger Mccree, a guy who they are loving in camp right now and is really contending for a starting position. And if he can't make it as one of the outside corners, they're looking for any type of way that they can go ahead and use this man. If he's going to fit into the slot, are they going to use him for certain matchups like against running backs, against tight ends? Any way that they can help this secondary continue to get better. And they're so young, which allows these guys to just keep growing together as a unit. So if they can bring back that rushing stopping prowess, excuse the horrible language there, and then cope it with the secondary that I think is going to take a huge step forward. Once again, we could be talking about one of the better defenses in the NFL.
Titans fans, are you ready? Titans fans, are you ready?
Excited.
Hoobity hoop blah, all that bullshit you was just talking. Nobody cares. The Titans suck. Listen, man.
Whoa!
The Titans defense it's good. It is. It's a good defense. They played well last year. I expect them to play well this year. Part of the reason why they were so good against the run last year and they had so much success against the run was a lot of it was their offense was a predominantly ball control offense. So they control the clock. They'd get ahead on teams. What would teams have to do? Not be able to run the ball, so they throw the ball a lot. So you give up more pass yards. I actually think the secondary played pretty well and given up, even though they gave up 4,500 yards. A lot of teams threw the ball against them, and it's because of the way their offense runs. It's Derrick Henry for 30 times a game. They're such a slow offense that teams feel the pressure when Tennessee jumps out ahead that they can milk the clock out, so they feel like they have to throw the ball all the time. This is how they were so successful against those good teams last year. The problem, again, is going to be the offense. And I'm not even going to let Vinny ask the question. You were right about the defense. The offense, the difference in their offense with the rest of the AFC is they don't have the weapons. The weapons on offense are going to prevent that defense from to reach its full potential. That's why they can't be the number one defense, because they will be on the field too much. Derrick Henry alone cannot do it. You look at that. There's such a big glaring difference between being the 5th rushing team, and you're 25th in passing. They have no way to create explosive plays. You lose your best receiver in an A.J. Brown, who is arguably one of the better receivers in football. You let him basically just walk out the door so you can draft a rookie in Treylon Burks, who is A.J. 2.0, but we have no idea what this guy's going to come and be able to do. He's already been hurt. In preseason, he didn't do much the first game. If he was even on the field, I believe he was out there for a few plays, didn't really make an impact. Robert Woods coming with the torn ACL has to be kind of recover from that. We obviously know he's on the backside of his career. And then you have an Austin Hooper, who we were super excited about coming out of Atlanta, went to Cleveland, didn't really do much, and now he's in Tennessee. Ryan Tannehill has to play like he did 2 years ago, or this offense and this team have no chance. Ryan Tannehill, 33 touchdowns and 7 picks 2 years ago, and then he comes a year later and he's throwing a bunch of picks and obviously not throwing touchdowns. He is the only person on this team that can change the fortune of them, maybe even getting to the playoffs, but having that first-round exit. That, by the way, every single person on this podcast called number 1 seed that would lose in the very first round of the playoffs when they got to see somebody would be the Tennessee Titans. We all called it, and guess what? It happened.
No argument here on that one. That this Titans team has just never seemed like they were the real deal, and they just seemed like it was a matter of time before it kind of collapsed. And you brought up Treylon Burks, and there is something wrong with Treylon Burks, in my opinion. And maybe I'm just jumping the gun. Maybe he turns out to be something, but there is just something wrong. And yesterday I said, was it yesterday or 2 days ago? I said the writing is on. Oh, Sir Antonio Gibson, the writing is on the wall. And that was what I was worried about. It seems like that's a similar situation with Treylon Burks early on, that the writing might be on the wall, already on the wall for him, because he's already missing just so much time in camp because of just either injuries, or it's asthma, or it's the heat, or it's there's just something always going on with Treylon Burks, and I just don't get it for him. I don't, because it doesn't make sense. And now you brought up the fact that he's supposed to come in and be AJ 2.0. It's like I don't see it.
When the talk about Dallas getting him was out, I was just like, oh, please don't. There were a couple of those receivers that I felt like were overhyped. Olave, obviously, Treylon Burks. But I knew that they would all go high. Treylon Burks kind of has that feeling to me as well. And not only because of the things you mentioned, but then when you're that type of player, we already have reservations about you, and then you go to a place that doesn't throw the ball well. How are they going to get him involved? How are they going to find ways to make him be at his max, reach his maximum potential? If he goes to Kansas City in the first round, we're looking like Andy Reid might find a way to actually use him in the appropriate way. I don't know if that's the case with Mike Vrabel in this Tennessee offense.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm keeping my eye on, to be honest, because that was the whole storyline. You looked at A.J. Brown getting traded on draft night, and immediately they go and get a wide receiver when there were other things that we thought that they could have focused on. So now, as you guys have all just really well mentioned the issues that he keeps having, and, at first it's like, don't worry about it. It's just rookie mini camp, and he left in day one, getting used to the NFL. Now we're talking about week 2 of the preseason. He's leaving joint practices. They're not saying that he's being injured. They're not saying that it's the asthma again. They're not disclosing anything. So now you're talking about every single snap is critical, sure. But at the same time, are you also saying that if he's not going to be up to par, he's not going to play? Because I don't think you can do that, seeing as how you drafted him 18th overall. You see what's going on in Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers is coming out saying if you can't catch the ball, you're not going to be on the field. And they're saying, hey, Treylon Burks, if you're not on the field now, well, it's okay. I guess, we'll cross the bridge when we get there in week 1. So I am going to be looking to see what happens with Treylon Burks. And if at the end of the season for the Titans, they're talking about a missed first-round pick, and you're looking at, respectfully, another Corey Brown situation where, yeah, he might have been good, but never what they really thought he was going to be for where they drafted him in Corey Davis. I don't know who the hell Corey Brown is. Treylon Burks is a mixture of A.J. Brown and Corey Davis. So at the end of the season, Will was like, why y'all looking at me crazy? I was like, yep, I hear it now. I hear what I did wrong.
I don't get it with this Titans team, to be completely honest.
I do. What do you mean you don't get it? You're thinking too hard.
I
told you.
I am.
I said it to start the week. We spent 10, 15, whatever minutes we just talked about all that. I said the answer we could have just stopped. Tennessee Titans suck. They could have the greatest regular season record all they want, but we're going to talk about them in the playoffs. They're not going to win because they suck. And when I say suck, I don't say, I don't mean you can't win a game. I don't mean they're not talented. I don't mean they can't put things together. They're not a Super Bowl caliber team. They are not up there with the like they wanted to be, or they wanted to be perceived as last year being the number 1 seed. They're not up there with Buffalo. They're not up there with the Chiefs.
That's what it
They're not
always
up there with the Ravens. Like
that's what it always seemed like for me. It was just like there's like they're the number 1 seed. They're like they got all the things going for in terms of the standings, but I'm like, this team is just not like they're not like the others. This is just like
did anybody really think the Tennessee Titans were going to the Super Bowl last year? Hell no.
Nick from Nashville. Nick from Nashville did.
Nick from Nashville is an idiot. Nick from Nashville is an idiot. And I'm saying I'm not afraid to call people names. They can call me names on the internet. Why can't I call them? If you really thought the Tennessee Titans were going to the Super Bowl last year, you're an idiot.
This is we talk about players overperforming and doing better than we expect. These guys as a team, in my opinion, just overperformed. Like what we saw last year was not who they were, in my opinion.
I think it's good coach. I do think Mike Vrabel is a very good coach.
Absolutely.
That's why you can win that many games, because he's that good. He's that good of a coach.
When you look at the Titans' schedule, Aaron, what do you think the defining part of this schedule will be to where, okay, maybe this sets them back, or this really said we are who they thought they were, or we are who we thought they were. Like that's what that part of the schedule for the Titans. Where is that?
I think it's early in the season. I think they have to get off to another good start. And I think it's more important that they do that early, because I do think they have some winnable games down the stretch that if they get out to an early start, get some wind under their belt, then they can close with some wins and they'll end up in a very good position as far as playoff seeding and stuff. No matter what, I can sit here and say that Tennessee Titans suck. They won't win a playoff game. They won't do any of this. They don't believe that. They believe they have the talent to win games. They believe they have the talent to get to the AFC title game and to a Super Bowl. So with that mindset, they have to be in a position where they don't have to go on the road to KC. They don't have to go on the road to Baltimore, that they can get some of these games at home. So if I'm Tennessee, I'm looking to duplicate that success I had last year in the regular season, so I can be in a prime position again to have a number 1 seed, to get a bye week so I don't have to play that first round. And then when one of those powerhouses in the AFC, whether that's the Bills, the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Ravens, the Broncos, the Raiders, any of those teams, the Bengals, 7 teams I would put above Tennessee, the Colts, 8. Like when one of those teams they go play you at home and you have the best opportunity to win. So they have to 12-5.
Yeah.
13-4. If they don't,
they're
gonna lose on the road. No matter what.
Yeah, I think they have to win that division. I think the Titans have to win that AFC South if they want a shot at it. I don't think second place in the AFC South makes the playoffs. Like that's how we'll get into our record. We'll get into our full predictions later on in the month. But I don't think a second place AFC South team makes the playoffs. And if they do, they're going to get smoked in the first round, and it's just not going to be fun for anyone involved. Let's go into the prop bets here real quick for the Tennessee Titans before we give our final record predictions. And they look like this. I have given you guys overs for win totals for just about every team we've covered. This is the first team I've given you an under 8.5 wins for the Tennessee Titans at plus 115. Over 13.5 Derrick Henry rushing touchdowns is at minus 115. And over 4.5 Treylon Burks receiving touchdowns at plus 110. I tried to mix in the obvious Derrick Henry one to say, okay, it's still Derrick Henry. He's still that dude. But then I threw in the plus money there with the wins and the Treylon Burks to see if you guys would be tempted to go that route. Aaron, which one is your locked and loaded bet here?
Yeah, I think it's easy probably to go with a Derrick Henry there. I think that's probably the most likely just because of how many opportunities he's going to get. But I'm going to go with Treylon Burks under. I actually think it's under 4.5. Lock. Don't bet the 4.5 over. I would bet the under on that side because I don't see it. I just don't. First of all, Tannehill may throw 24, 25 touchdowns. Handful to Robert Woods, handful to Austin Hooper, handful to a few of these no-name guys. I just don't know that Treylon Burks can get the number of touchdowns that's on there. So I'll take the under there.
Two touchdowns.
2 touchdowns.
Treylon Burks will have 2 receiving touchdowns this year.
You better hope he plays in 2 games.
I'm about to say, damn it. Literally what I was about to say.
Damn.
Literally what I was about to say.
Maybe I should have put that as the over under 2 games for Treylon Burks. AJ, what about you? What's the locked and loaded bet for you that you have out of these choices?
I am going to take under 8.5 wins. And that's with me bumping up their win total from what I had it earlier in our preseason conversation. And I know we just talked about Mike Vrabel and what he can do, but I have a feeling, even though I talked about how good the defense is going to be, I have a feeling that this team is going to be last year's Vikings. They're going to get into a lot of close games and not be able to finish, or the other team is just going to get the better of them down the stretch. And I think it may have to do with the offense. And yeah, they can be fun. They can be fun with the Robert Woods and the Derrick Henry. But like, if you're getting in that area, are you going to be able to just run Derrick Henry late in the fourth quarter? We've seen them lose games because they had to go away from Derrick Henry in the fourth quarter and start throwing the ball. And if that becomes the case again, and they're in these little dog fights, they may start losing some close games. So I'm going to take the under 8.5, and it's a bet, it's a bet, but
putting it in. I think I would have to disagree with you there, at least on the point, not the bet itself, but if the Tennessee Titans are in these close games, I think Mike Vrabel's coaching gets them those wins, and that would be one of the biggest differences with what we saw with the Minnesota Vikings last year with Mike Zimmer. I think Mike Vrabel would be that difference maker to get them over the hump. I don't see them. I don't see them getting into those battles here. Because I'll get into the record predictions right now. I have them at 6-11. That's where I have them at 6-11, the worst out of all 4 of us on this panel. That when we did our offseason, and I'm sticking with that because in these games with the big dogs, I don't think that they stay with them. And then even in the games with I think that they split with Jacksonville. I think they split with Houston. I think they lose games that they should definitely win. I see a 6-11 season for the Tennessee Titans.
I'm going to call you out a little bit here, Vinny. Because I agreed with you about Mike Vrabel. I think his coaching is excellent, and you talked about those close games, him getting the wins. I don't think that applies when you have Ryan Tannehill as your quarterback. And regardless of how good Vrabel is, Ryan Tannehill still has to play quarterback. And I went to go look to verify, but I was like, they were in some close games last year that they lost, that they should have won. First of all, obviously the playoff game was close. It was 19-16. But their games that they lost last year, Houston Texans was a close game. They lost in overtime to the Jets. They lost in against the Steelers, by 19-13, close games. I don't know that it's really about Vrabel. I don't know if it's about the rest of the team. I think it's about Ryan Tannehill, very similar to the Minnesota Vikings. I don't know if that's a Mike Zimmer thing. Maybe Kirk Cousins needs to step up because with every other team, when it comes to close games, we always talk about quarterback play. We always talk about Dak Prescott, can he do it? Matt Stafford, can he win these tight games? Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers. When are they going to go and win these close games? That's what you pay the quarterback that amount of money to do. When Ryan Tannehill got paid, they said, we are committed to you because we think that you are the quarterback that can take us where we want to go. If their defense puts them in positions where they're giving up 19 points, they expect Ryan Tannehill to score 20, and he's not doing that. So despite the coaching, I think the quarterback play is what prevents them from winning those close games. I don't know if that much changes. I just think Ryan Tannehill is what he is. He's not terrible. I will say Ryan Tannehill is not the worst quarterback in football. He's going to go out and do some things that you're like, man, that could be something. But I don't see him going out and winning games. There's a last drive down the field and Ryan Tannehill's got the ball. I'm like, I hope, maybe. I'll be just honest. I would have no faith. I don't have any faith in that. And there's a handful of guys in the NFL that are on bad teams that I would have faith in that situation. So
what happened to that season where Ryan Tannehill had the most game-winning drives or something like that? And I told everybody it was bullshit. I told everyone Ryan Tannehill No, it was not.
Yes, it was, because the whole Ryan Tannehill debate last year started when you drafted Ryan Tannehill in fantasy.
No, sir.
That's when it all started.
No, sir.
Yes,
AJ, go back. AJ will. I know AJ remembers this from the rough cut days. I have been dogging Ryan Tannehill well before my fantasy betrayal of him. Okay, I have been very down on him, even when he had those clutch performances where he led the league in comeback drives. I never believed in Ryan Tannehill, ever. Something was similar to what I said with Treylon Burks. Something was just off with Ryan Tannehill. How it was just not him.
To be fair, since he's been in Tennessee, there's been no proof of that until last season.
Like I said, because it was after his first year in Tennessee. It was like, oh yeah, all the clutch drives, all that kind of stuff. It was like,
but the second year he did it even better.
Okay, so it was after his second year that I said that.
That was last year. That's my point. It was so right now, to be fair, since Ryan Tannehill has been in Tennessee, he's had one bad season, and that was last season. And I'm not defending him because I'm just saying that he's not the worst quarterback. He's just not going to take you and elevate your team to where you want to go.
And that's basically where he was at with it, though.
You try to put him in the category of Carson Wentz.
Thank you. Thank you, AJ.
Are you not?
I'm trying to put him in the category of Carson Wentz?
Yes, because you're hurt. Because you are excessively hurt. Like, you normally would just be like, he's not a good quarterback. But you excessively go out of your way now to talk about Ryan Tannehill because he screwed you in fantasy football.
No. I excessively go out of my way to talk about Ryan Tannehill is because I told you people that Ryan Tannehill was garbage.
But that's my point, is you're saying he's garbage, and now you're being excessive because it's an emotional thing.
It's not garbage. He's an average quarterback. He is an average quarterback.
I'm just saying that since he's been in Tennessee, the only time he's been average to below average was last season. So if we are taking based on last year, you would be absolutely correct. I'm not ready to just write him off as a quarterback. You said what?
I said I know him right.
If he has another season like he had last year, I will be all aboard your train. Right now, I'm very concerned for the Titans because of Ryan Tannehill. But
you would have been safer. You'd have been safer saying while his production is okay, you never believed that he was enough to get the Titans where they want to go. That's all you had to say. That's all you had to say. Because it's what you've been saying. And he's right. You've gone over. Garbage is fine.
Because he's garbage now because he burned him in fantasy football. Otherwise, he would just be a bad quarterback that Vinny didn't like.
He didn't really even burn me in fantasy because I went 0-4 with him and then I moved on from him and I made the decision. But
Vinny, you can't go 0-4 in fantasy football. There's only 13 weeks, buddy. Good.
I know.
Cost you a playoff spot. He burned you.
Trust me, I really don't even think about Ryan Tannehill in terms of fantasy. That's on me for thinking Ryan Tannehill was going to be productive for me in fantasy.
You thought he was going to get you some rushing touchdowns.
Well, no. I was stupid enough to say, okay, I'm going to have Ryan Tannehill for the first 4 weeks, and then Justin Fields is going to be that dude, and I'm going to have Justin Fields with rushing and the throwing, and, well, the Bears, and now they have Velus Jones, and I digress. All right, record predictions so we can move on here.
You already gave your record prediction.
I know, you guys didn't.
I'll tell you mine. Hold on. You know what time it is, baby. Let me get out my handy-dandy paper. I got Tennessee. I don't change, man. I'm very consistent on this show. I'm sticking with my prediction I had months ago. I'm taking them 8-9. I think they start the season slow, even though I said they need to start fast. I think they lose 4 of their first 7 games. It doesn't get any better from there. They only win 2 of their next 6. And then they get a couple of wins down the stretch to get them back up to 8 wins. 8-9 Tennessee Titans in 2022.
AJ?
I had them, if I'm not mistaken, at 7-10. I do like what their defense is starting to look like a little bit more, and they're fixed some pieces. So similar to actually, I don't remember what team it was. I'm bumping them 1 game, and I am now meeting Aaron at the 8-9 spot. We'll call that the variable effect for you, Vinny, to make you feel better about it. So I got him at 8-9.
And I had him at I had him at 6-11.
6-11. Yeah.
So this is the Vrabel effect.
Hey man, you feel how you feel. You feel how you feel. Vrabel's getting them 6 games.
I mean, 6-11. You said?
Yeah.
That's probably disrespectful.
I'm probably the big.
Because the thing is just because you suck don't mean you can't win some games. Like I told you, they have
I
a lot
haven't
of talent.
6 games. 6 games is winning.
They
6
have
games.
a lot of talent. They're going to win based on talent alone and good coaching. They're not going to be able to get to where they want to be, and that's when I say they suck. Like, because Titans fans will have you believe they're going to be the number 1 seed, they're going to go to the playoffs, they're going to win the Super Bowl and all that stuff again. When I use these terms like suck and turd and these kind of like strong words, it's really relating to what people are talking about the team as, right? When you have these expectations of being here and then you fall so short of that, you're a turd. Okay. That's what I call you. You suck. But in comparison to the Bears, do the Titans suck? No. Comparison to the Seahawks? No. Comparison to some of these other real shit teams? No. But compared to the elite, which is what they want to be considered as, they suck. It's like me telling an NBA player he sucks. Of course he's better than me. Doesn't mean he's better than LeBron. That's all I'm saying. So you got to take it and put it in some context, wrap it around it. Titans fans, you suck too.
Oh man. Tell us why you don't suck, Titans fans. Aaron, where do we have the Tennessee Titans on our power rankings today?
Yeah, they're going to fall in right at number 20. Again, this is tough, man. It's hard to kind of navigate the waters with teams, and these are supposed to be regular season power rankings, but with me having them at 8 and 9, AJ having them where he has them, and then you at 6 and 11, they had to drop, and many people probably have them a little higher, but we slotted them in right at number 20.
People are going to think it's disrespectful. Tennessee Titans, prove
Whatever.
us wrong. Prove us wrong.